Hello everybody, it's Kristen. I got a lot of views on my knitting socks 2-up at a time, and I can't remember what technique I was doing in that video, but I thought I would start with some basics and I can make some future series in the parts in the series and show you all the different aspects of it. We're going to start with a cast on, so be prepared. It's a little confusing. It involves a lot of fingers and some yarn and some long needles, and I have an itty bitty working space, but we're going to do it because we are awesome and we are knitters and we know how to do things. First, of course, you need some yarn. If you haven't knit from one ball of yarn for two different things, it is very doable. You have to have some patience. However, if you already know that patience is not going to work for you, you can take your skein of yarn, weigh it, and just roll half of it into its own ball and roll half into the other half into its own ball. And I like to put them in a baggie with the two ends of the baggie opened up so the yarn can feed right through it and you don't have to worry about it. However, what I prefer to do when I have a cake of yarn and some needles and I'm shopping and I'm deciding that, I don't want to wait in line all bored, I'm going to start some socks, I like to pull from the center of one end and from the outside of the one skein, and I don't care if it all gets twisted up. I take it out every now and then, I readjust, and everything seems to work out okay. I will go into some basics perhaps in another video, but I do want you to get the cast on right away, and my camera cuts out after a certain amount of time and I talk a lot, so I want to make sure I get that for you. I'm going to use some worsted weight yarn just so you can see. I'm using size 8 needles just so you can see. I do recommend, if you have decided that you're going to just go along and start socks right now, that you use a 40-inch long cable needle. That's just so you have a lot of room so that when you do knit the socks, one sock will be at this end of the needle, the other sock here, the other half of the sock here, the other half of the sock here. If your needle is too short, it's going to pull through so that your sock is just a big circle again, and you run the risk of unevenly separating the socks at the end when you're only supposed to be doing one side. I mention that that's a problem because when you're doing increases, decreases, gussets later on down the line, you may find that one side you've been working with the wrong number of stitches. And I'm not very good at counting and making sure everything is even and on the right sides. So I am resourceful and I buy longer needles. Then I don't have to worry about it. So let me show you this cast on. I Googled a lot of stuff. I picked the parts that I liked and have this. It's very possible that there's a name for this cast on. If there is, I don't know what it is. I feel like figure 8 would make sense. But you're going to take your yarn and hold it just like you would a long tail cast on. Back side, when I say the back, I'm talking about here. Up, that's the back. Forward, front is here. Back part of the yarn is the one that's attached to the whole skein. Okay. Front is the tail end, unattached, lonely, poor thing. It's going to be a sock. It has hope. You're going to hold your yarn between your fingers just like you would a long tail cast on without the slip knot. Should you do slip knots? Hold your needles parallel to each other. Again, I'm referring to this needle as the back needle, this needle as the front needle. You want to hold it so that your thumb and the pad of your finger here is helping you create some space between them. That's because as you're doing this, it's just science, man. It's just going to get tight. You don't want it too tight because you want to be able to knit and make your darn sock, and there's nothing more frustrating than starting a project and doing the cast on 10 different times, especially when you're dealing with what feels essentially like 4 projects knitting 2 at a time in the round, because you're going to have one sock here, or sorry, let's say like the top of the sock, the top of the second sock, the bottom of the sock, the bottom of the other sock. It gets cumbersome, but we look really cool doing it. It's almost like rocket science without all the fire and flames, because we're making something toasty for ourselves already. It's glorious. So you're going to hold your needles. You want that space there, okay? Put it over the back needle first. Grip that with your thumb. This is your starting position. This is your reset position. Between every movement we make to get yarn on the needle, a loop that we can knit through, you're going to go back to this position. The first thing we're going to do is now get a loop. This is going to be our first loop actually. We're going to get a loop on the front needle too. How you're going to do that is you're going to twist your hand to the left. So we're going to take our index finger, twist to the left, and bring that yarn up between the two needles. Yarn over the front needle and go back to our reset position. Now we want to cross this one we just moved around. We want to cross it and trap it. We're going to trap it by using our thumb. We're going to twist to the left again, go up between the two needles, wrap around the back needle, go back to our reset position. We now have 2 stitches on the back, 1 stitch on the front. We're going to do it again. Rotate to the left, bring the yarn up between the two needles, yarn over the top of the front, reset. Now the thumb, back, up between the two, wrap around the back needle, reset. Now it's index finger, up between the two needles, bring it to the front of that front needle, reset. Twist to the left, up to the center, around the back, reset. Twist to the left, up between the center, around the front needle, reset. Twist to the left, up between the center of the needles, over the back needle, reset. And you just keep doing that, twisting to the left, up between the two needles, wrap around the front, reset. This time we're going to go wrapping around the back, but first we go up the center, wrap around the back, reset. I like my socks to have at least 12 stitches on each side, so that's 24 total. If you get lost, say you get distracted, say some fool sees somebody knitting and thinks that they can just talk to you during a cast on, such as the cashier at a grocery store, you have to know how to continue, after of course you've given them hell. So you look at your yarn, you see what side is free, that's the side you have to trap. So my thumb finger is free. That means that's the last one that I use to wrap. So the next finger I have to use to wrap is the index finger, so I can trap what my thumb just did. So I rotate now with my index finger to the left, up through the center, reset to the beginning position again. Rotate to the left, up through the center, around the needle, reset. And just keep doing that. Well, let me tell you, when you're talking and doing an instruction video, your pinky starts to hurt holding this yarn. Check it out. So again, my last one free is the one attached to my thumb, so I know my index finger is next. To the left, up between the two needles, wrap around the front. To the left, up between the two needles, wrap around the back. And back to reset. Index finger, thumb. Index finger, 2 needles, wrap around. Thumb, 2 needles, wrap around. Index finger, 2 needles, wrap around. Thumb, 2 needles, wrap around. Wrap around. Wrap around. Now I know why YouTubers sing. Okay, got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now don't get hasty and get ahead of me because there's a special trick at the end, okay? So we're back. I always seem to end with the thumb last, so index finger up. Oh, sorry. Index finger up to the front, twist. Thumb up to the back, twist. Index finger up through the center, around the front, twist. So now I should have 12 stitches on each needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's check the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Really glad I got that BA. Now this is the funny part. This is the part that's a little weird. Is you're going to put 13 on the back. And I'll tell you why in a moment, but you're going to twist an end on the back with your thumb over the back. You're going to do that a second time with the other end of the yarn. Because I'm afraid that I'm going to run out of time, I won't show that yet. But when we do toe increases, I will show you eventually. When you get that 13th stitch on the back, you slide everything down. I wouldn't slide all the way down. This is kind of helping you with your space issue here. But you slide it down so that you have some room to add your new stitches. You grab the other end that you're going to use for a cast on, and you cast on new stitches right there. And remember, 13 on the back. This is what you do next. You turn your needles around. What you see on the top is actually the outside of your sock. On the inside, you have a little bit of a seam thing going here. It looks just like purl bumps. They're a little bit tighter because we were a little bit crazy holding our needles together and tried really hard to keep our spacing in there, but like I said, it's science, you know? So here you have your tail. The 13th stitch is what's helping it stay on the needle in a tight way, because we're going to use that stitch to knit it. We're going to use the yarn we made that stitch with to also knit it. So this works as like a little bit of a barrier. Otherwise, when you try to knit a stitch that's on the needle you just wrapped, it all falls apart, and that's the mistake we made when we weren't quite knitters yet. We're not going to do that here. We're professionals. So, being that this is the inside, imagine that it's like a little dip, okay? Keep this on the inside. Take your working yarn and get ready to knit. Pull the back needle through, and imagine, if you will, you have another set right here. So you're going to have 2 sets of a cast on, and you're pushing the other 2 in the back side down your cable needle. And honestly, if you want that done quickly, I'll make a video quickly to do it. I just want to make sure everybody knows how to cast on before my camera gives up on me. So this tail, I like to pull it a little bit taut because we want that stitch to be workable right here. So I hold it down. This is my marker. This is what I end up using. I'll tie a little knot or something on here, or you can tie a stitch marker around it. You can cut it and stick it inside, whatever you want to do. But this lets me know that this is the first sock. This is my beginning of round for every round after this. So I hold it down just so I can get this first stitch in and knit that first stitch, just like you would knit anything else. And I sometimes like to twist these stitches because you can see how it's already pretty open, but it looks really pretty when you don't. It also looks just like you would use a Kitchener stitch or grafting to put your toe together, and I love how that looks. It looks like it was just one piece of yarn all wrapped around together, and magically it made a tube, and I think it's fabulous. So you go through the back stitch to keep that look. If you want to twist the stitch, go through the front, but I like to go through the back because I really do like how it looks. So we're going to make sure we knit 12. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now turn your work. Pull that needle through, and presumably if you already have 2 sets of cast-ons on, you would do the second one now using the correct yarn, the correct part of your yarn ball. And now we're going to go on the side that has 13 stitches, and this is going to be it's going to look like magic, you guys. You're going to be blown away. I can't wait to hear how you learned magic from Kristen Knits. So now we're going to knit this side as well. Now this side you knit right through the front because of the way that we were twisting. These won't be twisted stitches when you knit through the front. So we're going to knit 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Did I count that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's almost like it's magic, right? Because we put on 13. Now sometimes what happens when we flip it, we can lose, like the tail comes off of this end somehow, or it flips around or whatever. If you ever get to the back side and there's a 13th stitch, it's related to the tail. You just pull it and it comes out and everything stays. It's beautiful. It really is magic. It's the only time that you could pull yarn not attached and it all stays. And it's lovely. It really is. So I do have a couple more minutes before my battery goes kerflooey. So let me show you what the next row would be. We're going to use our working yarn, pull through after you turn, of course, and this is where we're going to increase the toe. You want to increase the toe until you get on finger and weight yarn. I usually do 60 stitches, depends on the size of your foot, and you're going to increase on each end and then knit a row. I like to knit 1 stitch first. Oh, see, look here. This is where the 13th is. See this wrap around that we did earlier? You can see it's caused a bump there. If that happens to you too, this is great. You take this tail, pull it through that back bump, This is only if your toes are like, yeah, I don't want that. And just pull it out. And there you go. You can weave this in later. But that helped us get everything in order. So you're going to knit 1 stitch and do your increase. For the increases that are, I like my toes to kind of try to match. You picture your foot well, picture you're looking at somebody's foot and the angles go this way. So this here is a right-leaning increase. This here is a left-leaning increase. Now you can look these up to be sure, but I grab the bar between these 2 stitches here. And I want to make sure I do this right because everybody's watching. You pick it up from the back, I transfer it to the left-hand needle, and then I knit through the front leg. And sometimes I have to use my thumb to help me. I knit through the front leg of that stitch and break it off. See this bar here? It's leaning to the right. So I'll do another stitch just to show you again real quick. Pick the bar up between the 2 stitches here. I'm so sorry, I can't do this better with my camera. Pick it up, transfer it from the back to the left needle, and then knit through the front stitch that's there. And that creates a right-leaning increase. Okay? So I'm going to get to the other end so I can quickly show you the left-leaning increase before this whole thing ends on me. I got to find out how to fix the time limit on my camera for recording, or how to add a second video. Okay, so now we have 1 stitch left. Now we're going to pick up from the back. This time we're going to knit through the front from the right side of the needle, and see how the bar here now leans to the left. That's going to create that angle that you want with socks. So I do think we have time for me to do the other side again. Turn your work. The beauty of doing 2 socks at a time is everything will come out even, and you know, oh, I'm increasing this row, so on the second sock I have to increase. It kind of is like a backup system. Knit the first stitch. We are still doing that. Pick up from the back. I like to transfer it to the left-hand needle and then knit through the front. Well, that one came out funky, didn't it? Did I not pick up the right thing? No, I think I just didn't do it properly. You pick it up from the back, you knit. It should be like it's twisting it. There we go. So it's twisting it. And then you have that right-leaning bar. Knit back to the other end. Telling you it's wonky, like I keep looking through the camera lens, and then I keep looking at my hands, and then I'm talking, and then I'm all flustered, and I think I'm going to have a beer. Now you lift from the back side, go through the front, and knit your last stitch. Whoops. Ta-da! And you can use this tail to tighten those stitches up if it gets a little loose. Then you will knit 1 round, just straight up knitting. Our favorite part, straight up knitting. And then the next row, do the increase round again, all the way across. So because I'm only a minute off now, we can just, and this is when you can start getting that ready to be tucked inside if you want to. Now I know that there are a lot of different methods that people use. This is mine, take it or leave it. I will not be offended. There are so many ways to do things. This became my way. I enjoyed it. I get the socks done. I think they're beautiful, they're comfortable, they fit, they work. I really believe in not really having to do all the rules. There's a right way, there's a wrong way. No, there isn't. There's just the way that you do it, and it comes out and it works well. But look how nice that is. Isn't that great? It's like, it almost looks as good and flat and seamless as a Kitchener stitch. And then check it out on the back side too. Pretty cool, huh? So have fun, my friends. Knit on. Bye-bye.